Hey, hi guys, it's Mike Field here. We'll be having a look at the Age of Empires 4 patch notes. It is 1109 patch right now. The newest one, it has just been announced. It will be added to the live service sometime this week, which I'd assume might be Wednesday, because usually there's this kind of bigger maintenance on Wednesday evenings usually. So that's probably the likely time of the patch. We'll just kind of try to have a look at this patch note together. We'll try to analyze it, and we'll try to figure out what exactly is really going to change for the game. Now, if you guys would like to drop by to my streams, the link is below. I am also an active YouTuber, as you can see, so if you're interested in my content, I do casts, and I also stream on YouTube, the gameplay, of course, of the game, and I make some guides. So if you're interested in that, please consider dropping me a sub. Now, let's get into the thick of things. And the very first thing is actually something that is relatively big overall. So they're actually trying to deal with that animation cancelling issue that used to be in the game before. So, I mean, it's still in the game right now. So they're actually trying to change that to some extent. So units can no longer easily perform faster attacks than intended by issuing a move command after attacking to cancel the cooldown between hits, which is a huge nerf to scouts, by the way. This is something that is going to kind of add to other change below, which nerfs the cost of scouts. So overall, this is going to mean that those kind of early scout walls are gone, which I think is kind of engaging and fun element of the game. I'm not really sure why they're doing this, because it was... I mean, I understand people were frustrated by this, but honestly, early game is relatively slow in AoE 4, right? Those first few minutes are... essentially, unless you just make a huge build or the mistake, right, they're relatively not too impactful, I would say, right? So I think that's maybe bad for the competitive, where those early trades were actually fun to watch, though I do understand lots of players who are playing the highest level, they're not really kind of too much into that, so they didn't actually enjoy auto-attack cancelling. So I see why they are removing this overall. I think this is like something that was considered not fun, and it's a computer game, let's face it, so it's supposed to be fun first and foremost. Now you have the so-called Korix bug, where Korix, the player, used to be building those invisible palisades. Now it is no longer possible to do, apparently. I'm not really sure what the exact details of the bug were, but it is gone. It's completely removed. Now there's something that is potentially going to be abused, I think. That would be interesting to see, especially for the English, because they have lots of kind of those pieces of tech that contribute towards trebuchets being strong. So trap projectiles now deal AoE damage when missing their intended target, which they miss quite a bit. You can also, I think, grant targets with them, so this would mean that they would be kind of missing a lot then. And then they do area of effect damage. They don't say how much, which is a big question mark therefore, but I guess it would be cool to see. Obviously, the English also have this tech shattering projectiles, which means that, you know, those trebuchet projectiles do shatter there. And they do AoE. I think this would be interesting to see if this is potentially abusable for the English. You know, the English could be kind of like the top one imperial civilization, depending on the numbers, of course. It will be fun to see anyway, because Trebs are getting some other changes as well. So I think this is going to be kind of cool overall. I think it's interesting to see how this develops, but yeah, you don't know really, right? This is kind of a big change overall, though. So also the Explo ships are going to have their range reduced after the explosive stack. And the ships will also not be doing multiple instances of damage. They used to explode 2 or even more times sometimes. Obviously doing lots of damage across the board, just kind of, you know, obliterating armies, standing like very far from the shore, which is obviously not intended. Looked like like StarCraft 2 nukes really, or the disruptor balls. The effect is gonna stay though, because they're increasing the damage of those ships to 400, which means that if you just kind of run that into an army that's crossing the river, it's probably going to wipe it out anyway. But obviously, that change is going to mean that this is going to be slightly reduced in effectiveness, especially in the Imperial Age, where those ships were just not fun to interact with. I'm not a big fan of this, because I'm not a fan of the kind of StarCraft 2 disruptor effect or nuke effect, but I guess they want to keep it in the game, so let it be, I guess. Scouts are getting more expensive, 70 foot from 60, which I'm not sure is a good idea, because, I mean, okay, the meta is that people do start with double scouts now, often, right? So this is going to be a relatively more expensive of a start, but especially that since they're actually nerfing the scout wars, they're nerfing that kind of auto-attack cancelling, which is probably the reason for which people are making lots of scouts. I'm not sure if this is reasonable, to be honest. I mean, this is a kind of a small nerf to professional scouts once again, by the way. That's kind of interesting. Which is, I think, already balanced, but honestly, like, scouts are going to take a huge hit from those changes. They're no longer going to be able to auto-attack cancel, which obviously means that they lose a lot of the previous viability. They're nerfing fishing. They're actually reducing the harvest rate for the shorefish by quite a bit, and the shorefish are actually gonna go down to oh, that's terribly bad. I mean, it's not bad because obviously this means that if you lose the water, you're not gonna be like absolutely kind of done in the game, but that's actually going to mean that all those kind of food sources on the rivers in those hybrid maps are going to be really kind of low in terms of efficiency. So this means like if you want to kind of compete for the water now on Confluence, for instance, or Mongolian Heights or Danube, right? I guess it's going to take a lot more effort, because you'll have to, like, you'll be depleting those kind of deposits of fish, the shoreline fish, quite much faster than before. Obviously 500 to 1000 is like 50% less, quite a big difference. And the deep fish also, the fishing speed is reduced, so even I think the water maps will change in terms of the dynamics a little bit anyway. Though yeah, I'm not really sure about this. I mean, yeah, I understand that fishing was just kind of overpowered, so I see what they're doing here. But maybe like some more radical changes were in place. Maybe the increased costs of the fishing ships would have been better than just kind of nerfing the kind of the resources alone. Especially that it makes certain maps really difficult to play for players who cannot compete on the water. Like if you pick a civ that cannot fight for this kind of middle lake on Nagari, I think you're going to be really screwed then. Like even worse, it's going to be even worse than before. So I'm not really sure about this change. Because before, like, you could just go for those kind of side lakes and try to make up for it somehow, just kind of getting some of the fish. I think it's going to be way less effective then. Obviously Ancient Spires is going to change a lot as well, because there's like mostly the shoreline fish. And you get like, what, 2,500 per basin now, which is quite a little, honestly. So, weird, but understandable. Now they're changing siege as well, so that kind of catch-up speed. So if you're trying to create a formation out of your units, there's a catch-up speed mechanic where units move a bit faster to kind of go into the right positions. Siege is going to get their catch-up speed reduced to 40%, which means they're not going to just kind of go very fast. Like that probably is kind of immersion breaking, so that's why they're doing this. Now, Horseman, Camel Rider, Fire Lancers, Knights, by the way, a typo here, I guess, right? Yeah. Torch bonus damage versus siege is increased to +20, which is huge. I do love it because I think the cavalry has this kind of special place in terms of kind of attacking those less mobile units like archers and obviously artillery. So this is great. Actually, this is a very big change. It's going to make those units more viable and kind of more strategically usable. Especially horsemen, I think, are going to become very good against siege. So I think that's good. I think that's kind of interesting to have that in your arsenal. Also kind of a big consideration then tactically, right? What do you go for, like infantry or cav? I think in this case it's going to mean that if your opponent is going for a large number of artillery, you can really nicely respond with you know, like lots of horsemen, for instance. I think that is kind of the biggest change here, because knights are very expensive, horsemen are not. So I think actually this is going to be a very nice response to cavalry, especially they're also good against all those archers, right? So maybe not such a bad thing overall. Now we have the Bombards, which are going to lose 80 HP as well, which is quite a big change. Actually, it's roughly like a 20% nerf, and Chinese are also going to take an additional hit, I guess, in that regard. So it's kind of big, meaning that, you know, Bombards are going to be really kind of they're gonna require lots of kind of active defense now, because honestly right now, like unless you have like a Bombard of your own, taking your opponent's Bombards is going to be quite a large endeavor. With this change, obviously, is going to mean that this is a big difference overall, right? So it means that obviously Bombard is taking a hit. I would love to see some more though. I think Bombards are very strong against units, like essentially one-shotting knights in some instances. I think this should be changed as well. I think it's still a little bit too much. I think that's what they say here. They're gonna monitor the damage. I think this is still too little of a nerf. I think Bombards, like, because like right now you get into the late game, get into those Bombard wars, right? Which means that like if you cannot contest your opponent's Bombards, if you cannot match their numbers, you're essentially going to lose the game. So I think this is still not enough. I think we need to see more. I think it either should be like more drastic change in HP. Obviously they're changing the speed of siege as well below, but I think this is still not enough. I think I'd like to see some damage nerfs on top of this. I think artillery should be way more squishy than it is right now, or it should be obviously just less effective in terms of damage, because right now obviously like a single Bombard can pay off in terms of like maybe like 5-6 shots, which is probably too much, right? Especially I also think like overall I don't like this mechanic of, you know, buildings going down in seconds. I don't like the fact that you can build like your Berkshire Palace as the English, and you can lose it in like 5 seconds. I think this is disgusting. It should be gone. Like the static defense is there to be static defense. It should take a lot of time to kill a landmark, even for bombard cannons. I think the damage is too high anyway. Now siege weapons are gonna do more damage against ships, which is cool because on the water maps, like certain kind of units, like the bow chance, for instance, they were too strong. They were impossible to kill, even like for multiple cannons. Right now it's gonna change. I'm not sure what the numbers are gonna look like, but I guess they have it covered. So I think it's gonna overall be a very good change. The siege speed is gonna change, so bombards lose like what, 30%. Actually, it's a big nerf. Springers lose like 10%. Mangoes lose around 15, and Nest of Bees loses about 10 as well. Especially Nest of Bees, I think we would like to see some Chinese nerfs in this regard, but yeah, that's also a thing. The Abbasids are getting a few actual buffs, which is cool. So it's just the age up time, actually, just 15 seconds on the age up. I think that's fine. The Abbasids really need to get something. Like, I think this is going to be quite cool because, like, if you can manage your economy well, this means that you hit your feudal kind of feudal age up very nicely at a decent timing. So that's actually quite a good thing. I think that's decent. That's a very nice change, meaning that, you know, it takes like what, a minute and 35 seconds now, right, to go up to feudal. I like this. I think that's cool. It should be kind of a nice mechanic, as they say. It should be a useful mechanic for the player, not something that is an obstacle overall. So that's actually good that they're changing this. The Abbasids and Delhi are gonna have the explosive Dow detonation range increased from 1 to 2 tiles, so it matches the intended explosion radius. I hate this because I'm not a fan of any explosive ships, honestly, but I would like to see them honestly just maybe even removed. Dows gain additional range, no damage actually. So they were relatively weak in terms of the arrow ships. Obviously the Rus ships are the worst still, I think, in terms of the overall performance, but this means that Dows are going to be a bit more competitive, and maybe this might mean the Abbasids will be getting a nice kind of oh, that's a huge one, by the way. So the Abbasids might be getting a decent, and the Delhi of course also might be getting a decent kind of chance to fight on the water. It's gonna make Delhi very frustrating to deal with though, because Delhi is already strong on the hybrid maps, right? You can kind of go for those fishing ships plus Dow all-ins, and you can essentially just win the water with a single blow. And I think this is going to make it even worse, right? It's gonna be very difficult to stop this now, which is going to take a lot of effort from players to kind of counteract those Dow pushes plus fishing ship pushes from the Delhi, which means Delhi is already strong, is gonna be stronger. And that's another huge change. So a berry harvest bonus increased from 25 to 30%, so it's going to be even faster. 5% is not a big deal, I guess. It's going to be relatively insignificant, but again, like 5% is better than 0. And the carry capacity means like they get a little bit of a what do you call this? Small wheelbarrow, right? It's going to be like an additional small wheelbarrow for the Delhi, which means Delhi is going to get like a very nice economical bump overall. Like, I think the Abbasids do deserve this. But the way Delhi is, I think Delhi is a little bit too strong right now, to be honest. So this is surprising to see. I wonder if we get like, let's just kind of try to, no Delhi changes. So I think Delhi is going to get like an additional power bump. I think maybe bringing them in line with the old Mongols. I think Mongols are going to get nerfed here too. So I think Delhi might be like the top on Civ right now. Chinese Clocktower Bombard health reduced to 600 HP, which is great. Obviously, they were unkillable. They are going to be more killable now. Nests of Bees, though, they're not getting nerfed, which means they're going to be very, very difficult to kill still, which is not my favorite thing in the world, but I guess they're slow. I think still Chinese need to have something else changed here in terms of artillery life. I think artillery life is way too high as it is, even for the Chinese who kind of rely on this. I don't know, man. So reload drills, a reload bonus time reduced, so is going to be like relatively worse for the China, right? So it is going to mean that yeah, the bonus is going to drop as well for this. So yeah, reload speed down, not bad at all. And the Imperial Official Stack Collection cooldown sometimes used to not trigger. So I guess it meant that you can harvest the gold multiple times from the same building without the cooldown, I guess. I suppose that's the case. So that's not gonna be possible anymore. Now, the prelates, or the so-called prelates, as some people like to call them, or prelates, obviously the only proper pronunciation is prelate, they're gonna be faster. So it means that they're actually going to be able to go up to the relics faster as well. This is actually quite huge, because this means, yeah, they can actually go towards the relics and gather the relics very, very quickly. And they talk about the healing and buffing. I do think that the major kind of use of the prelates is going to be this. Like, it's going to be actually relics. So this is going to mean that they're kind of going to zoom through the map a bit faster, get to the relics sooner. And obviously it's also going to allow them to escape the opponent's infantry. Which I think is actually going to mean that they're going to be like in line with the infantry speed. To some extent. They're going to be obviously like harder to catch for infantry. So you really need to make knights now or horsemen to actually catch those prelates. And deny those relics from HRE, which is, I guess, fine. It's parry cast range increasing, so they can reach more units. Like, if you just kind of put your prelates somewhere, they'll not be reaching too far, which is cool. Mongols, they're gonna lose their bounty, 25 bounty instead of 50. Raid bounty upgrade is gonna also be dropped. That's it? Seriously? Oh, come on. Like, if you're nerfing Mongols, just nerf them, like, across the board. Like, this is ridiculous. I mean, yes, this is a good start, but they're so much better than everybody else in so many other regards. Like, I have no idea why they're doing this. Like, they're nerfing China like hard as hell in terms of artillery, and they're just not doing anything about Mongols. This is just a raid bonus. It's, yes, it is going to contribute to some extent to what you're doing in the game. I agree, right? But that's actually just sad. I think that's just too little. It's so little in comparison to what Mongols are just kind of doing in the games right now, man. I'm very frustrated about this. I'd love to see them kind of maybe not nerf to the ground, but really nerf significantly. Because they should be like high skill ceiling civ. They're like the lowest skill ceiling civ right now. Just gonna spam units and win. So, obviously I'm exaggerating a bit, but they're very frustrating to play against. They always have more units. And I think something should be done with this. Like, I don't really know why they're so strong still. Obviously there should be like a significant nerf coming. I'm not really sure what you can do about Mongols, but maybe I wouldn't mind seeing like a buff to Mandu guy even, but like at a cost, right? Maybe that would be cool to see, like getting that unit more viable, but obviously at a cost of something else. Just, you know, giving them some more identity in terms of just kind of being those horse civ, you know, cavalry civ with like those mobile shooting archers who can just shoot and move at the same time. But at the same time, they shouldn't be so strong. I think that's just a big mistake. I would love to see some more nerfs here. High armory technology, fine-tuned guns. This is going to be, I think, the bombard tech. That is going to go down. The reload bonus time means that Rus doesn't go like completely ballistic on you anymore, which is kind of cool. And they just announced also that there is not going to be the ranked update yet, so this is going to be something that is going to happen later. I actually thought we would be getting ranked right now, but that's not the case. We're going to be getting ranked way later. It seems this is just a balance patch, but it's a good start, right? They're doing lots of kind of nice balance changes overall. The previous patch was kind of good as well, so overall this is decent stuff. But I really would have liked to see more Mongol changes. I'm not really sure why they're so reluctant to pull the trigger, but there's just way too much in the Mongol arsenal. They have like so much in their toolkit that's so overloaded. I'd really love to see at least the siege engineering removed from Mongols. Like, I mean, like, not the kind of the baseline siege engineering, but the improved siege engineering has to go. I don't like the idea that Mongols have the same unique bonus as the Abbasids. Obviously, it's a kind of a tech that you have to research, but still, I don't really like the fact that, you know, they take a piece of Abbasid identity and they just kind of can abuse it. Like, on top of having more units, they can also build siege on the field, which should be exclusive to Abbasids, I think. I don't understand why they're keeping this for the Mongols. It's weird and it doesn't make any sense. Maybe let them just build Springles, not Mongos. Maybe that would be also a nice change, but this is just so much. Because honestly, this is going to be a big buff to Mongols as well. Like, when you look at it changes to the speed of artillery, right? This means like moving any artillery unit is going to take more time from your base. So all civilizations that can build siege on the field, cough cough, Mongols and Abbasids are going to actually get a decent buff from this. Which is actually outrageous, because Mongols don't deserve any kind of power shifts in their favor. Let's face it, they should be nerfed super hard. They should be below 50% win rate, honestly, because they should take lots of effort and they should take lots of kind of knowledge to be played right. And right now they take nothing. Literally nothing. It's absolutely outrageous. I don't like this. I think Mongols should be changed. I think siege engineering has to go for them. That would be a big kind of nice you know, tip of the fedora towards the Abbasids as well. I think I'd like to see that happen. Okay, guys, that's all I have for you today. I think we've kind of gone through the entire patch notes, so thank you for watching. Remember to follow and subscribe, so follow on Twitch, sub on YouTube if you did enjoy the video. Remember to leave me a like if you did also enjoy yourselves, and see you around in the future content. So yeah, that's it.